Okay, good. So this evening's class will be actually a dynamic one, and I would like you guys to please be interactive in this evening's class. I know you've not already heard my voice as your government teacher, but for some reasons I'll be standing in for her. So, and in this class, I would need us to be interactive. Depending on how the class goes, it might not really last too long, but we'll see how far we can cover. So I'm standing in for the tutor Teresa. She's having Nigerian issue, network problem. So she has been having serious network issue, even in the last class. That was actually what happened that made us not able to carry on with the class. But today we cannot really still give an excuse for today's class. So let's just head into the slide. This week's topic will be treating key concepts and states. So I'm sure that most of us are familiar with these topics. You can see on my slide, you can see basic concepts. You see stuff like power, authority, legitimacy, sovereignty, and this is actually our objective. I would say it that way. This is our objective for today. We'll be trying to see how much we can grasp the definition of power, talk about the forms of power, acquisition and exercises by governments. Then we'll also go into authority, the kinds of authority, sources of authority, types of authority, and the differences between authority and power. So also we'll treat legitimacy, and so I'll not just keep on listing out what is here already. Legitimacy and sovereignty. So let's head straight into the class. So as I said initially, I said this class would be interactive both ways, because at the end of the class, we will know what's actually happening, and I would like both parties to communicate, please. So according to what we have on the slide, it says power is the capacity to affect another person's behavior through the use of sanction. So the sanction may be positive or negative. So now I would like someone from our class, not even someone, at least we know ourselves here. I can see that there is Kennedy, and I think Chioma was on this call too. Let me see how many persons are on this call. Chioma is on the call. I can see Michelle is on the call. So Kennedy is also on the call. So I would like the three of us to see how much we can interact in this class. We are inside house people. So let's just communicate for this class. So I would like us to talk about what we understand by power when it comes to government, what we understand by power. So one person should go up first. It does not need to be fancy. Just give me what you feel or what you think. It does not need to be exactly what's on the screen. Just something you think about power. Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can
Okay.
hear you.
Someone should help me explain what they understand by power. It just needs to be does not need to be fancy. Just tell me what you understand by power in terms of government. Anybody? Okay,
Okay,
so
can
let
you hear
me
me?
just take it up. Okay, yeah, go on, please.
Like my own understanding, when you talk about power, power is like
Yeah.
the approval that was given to you by a group of people to lead them. It's like an
Okay.
authority that was entrusted to you. It can be a
Okay.
legitimate or illegitimate right given to you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kennedy. Does any other person has another opinion? Okay, let me just take it up. Power is, as he said, as Kennedy said, he rightly said, it could be legitimate or illegitimate, but it's like an authority over someone, like over a group of people. So there is this special thing, because I'll be explaining this special thing, because when I talk about authority, you'll be able to tell the difference between power and authority. So power, unlike authority, it is that capacity that someone influences over another person, whether the person likes it or not. It's just the authority, that the kind of force that you exert on someone, whether the person likes it or not, whether it's legally or not legally. So it's just like the authority that you have, or the capacity you have above a group of people. So it could be negative or positive, as you can see here. So it is the sanction, and maybe negative or positive. So we also have here that the definition, we also have here political power, and this is a type of power, and it's defined as the ability or capacity of an individual, group, or institution to influence, direct, or control the actions, policies, and decisions of a government. So if you see this definition, there are important points that we've mentioned out here. You can see that it is the capacity or ability. I know when we try to define power, we might be, let's say, bent to say it's the authority, but power is not necessarily an authority. Authority has its different definition, and power also has its different definition. They are similar, very similar, but there is a divide between both of them. So power is actually the capacity. So if you are defining power wherever you find it, always mention that it is the capacity that an individual, institution, or group of persons they have, or they have to influence, to control, or to direct um, a group of people. So that's what power is. It is actually a capacity over a group of people that a person possesses. That a person possesses. Sorry, excuse me. Just give me a minute. So sorry about the distraction. I don't know if you can still hear me now. Very sorry about distraction. Okay, I think someone can hear me. So let's go back to our discussion. So in the definition of power, wherever you're trying to define power, it's very important that as you're trying to define power, always remember to mention that it is the capacity. If you see, I actually boldened this sentence, or this word, capacity, because it's a very crucial definition. It's the capacity to affect another person's behavior. So when you talk about political power, it is now the power that an institution or a political body has over the its subjects. So now I said something about power being it is not necessarily a good thing. It's power is it could be negative or positive. The actions of power could be negative or positive. So There are different forms of power. We have political power, we have economic power, we have military power, and we also have physical power. So physical power, I'm sorry, political power, this is the kind of power that a political body has. Example, um, we know our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has power to appoint ministers, to sign bills into law, and to also command the Nigerian army. This is this power he has, this authority or this capacity he has to make all these decisions is called power. So, and it was given to him by the Nigerian constitution. So there is a thing that they call authority. We'll be going to authority though, but I think I should explain what authority is. So I would probably bring you guys to the level or to the point I want you guys to understand. There's a difference between power and authority. Power is actually um, an authority or a capacity that someone has over his subject, whether they like it or not. Power could be taken by force. It's like the kind of thing that happened in those days where someone would just come, or maybe one king will come to another nation and threaten the people, threaten the rulers, possibly kill some persons, and before you know, he will take charge over them and start giving orders, saying, "You people every month, people will be coming here to come and keep people's grain or pick people's stuff." That's power. It's not necessarily that the people want that person. It's the kind of thing that I would see when there's probably a coup, where someone of authority just comes into power and takes over the affairs of the country or the state, and it just makes laws, give rules. If you do this, you this what if you do this, whether you like it or not, this is going to be the punishment. And the people don't necessarily need to choose this person. But authority, on the other hand, I'm trying to define authority, but we'll get to it later. Authority, on the other hand, it's actually the kind of capacity, the same capacity that people, these rulers or the subjects rather, they give to a particular person or a particular body. It's the authority, it's the capacity rather that these people give to a particular person to make sanctions, to make rules, to make command over them or over their affairs. So the divide between power and authority is power does not necessarily need to be given to someone by the people. It's actually the person can take it by force. Power could be taken by force, or power is not necessarily that it's given to someone. I don't know whether I'm trying to communicate something. There is actually a divide between power and authority. So now we have different forms of power. We have political power, we have economic power, sorry, we have military power, we have physical power. So political power is the power that they have over the to make policies in the country, to make political decisions, to make to command what they call it, the armed force of the country, and so on. Or economic power actually is the authority or the capacity a country has to influence on its people through the exchange of goods and services. That's what economic power is. It's usually the power that is like given to someone like the Minister of Finance. He can decide, okay, this country now we have so and so in our foreign in our countries we have so amount in our country's savings or our reserve, and he can say, okay, because of this, I would make the decision that maybe we should keep so and so amount of money for this purpose, take so amount for another purpose. This is the power. Whether the people of the country they really like it or not, he will just make those decisions. Say, okay, oh, for this reason or for the other reason, would be just make any drastic economic decision. So this kind of power, this kind of stuff is also known as economic power. Military power is also the one that you would see someone who just maybe a chief of the army staff or someone like that will just make a decision saying, okay, he commands a particular troop to move so and so direction and do some kinds of command. Some kinds of commands. I don't really want to say some kind of stuff because probably this our recording might be going online. So I need to be cautious with the way I'm using my words. So military power, it's the kind of power that the military have over the people or over the armed force, where the head of army, the chief head of army, he can make a decision and whether the followers or whether it's the subordinate armies, whether the subordinates, whether they like it or not, they just give that order, and every other soldier under his command will just go, whether they like it or not, whether they know that that place is going to be a risky place or not. They'll just have to go because this is power that is given to them to their person in authority. So physical power is also is the one that we can see where someone, you know that physically this person will be able to beat you. He can be able to beat you, whether you like it or not. That's the kind of power that they call physical power. Someone that, like, you know that weapon, in terms of weapon, these people, they can overthrow you. This is kind of power that we call physical power. So our next slide is talking about acquisition and exercise of power or sources of power. So these are we have here listed some sources of power or places that people could acquire power from. So number one is the constitution. As I said initially, it's where the political power, where people that are under a particular political party, where they gain their power, where the government. Sorry, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I hear you.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you
We
guys
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So as I said, the constitution, it is this kind of power. The constitution, the power from the constitution, it is the power that comes from the law of the land. So, example, like I said, the 1999 constitution, and it is used to appoint ministers, it is used to sign laws, and so on. This kind of power is known as constitutional power. We also have coercion power or true coercion. This is when um, you threaten someone or you try to punish people because of you have the ability to do so. So this kind of power is called coercive power, or it's kind of power that is gotten through coercion. You would force people to do whatsoever you like, and that way you exercise power over them. So example is how the police, the military, they use coercive power to maintain the law. They use their authority that this kind of capacity they have. They use it to enact the law. This is kind of power that is used in execution of the law. So the next one we have is charismatic power, or called the power that is gotten through charisma. So this kind of power is the power that comes from a person's ability to lead, or the person's personal appeal. You can see someone, maybe assuming there was a meeting with plenty persons in that meeting. Maybe you guys, maybe in your lecture hall, all of you were waiting for the lecturer, and nobody, maybe all of you are even just freshers. Then you went to a hall waiting for a particular lecturer. Someone will just probably stand up in the crowd among you guys and start saying, so with what is going on, I don't know, trying to give people direction. Maybe everybody were kind of disorganized, and person just tried to call people in order because of his charisma, his kind of boldness. This is this kind of power that the person will start exacting on people, saying, okay, people should, let's not do like this. This is what we should do. And because of that, people would start according that person some kind of respect, or giving the person some kind of um, influence over them because of his boldness. This kind of power is what they call the charismatic power, or the power that is gotten as a result of the person's charisma. So it's the kind of power that happened. Example of someone that had this power, kind of power, was Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama. They had followers because of their personality and their vision. So it is usually a power that spurs off from someone being able to inspire people or to lead movements. Then we also have economic resources. This is the kind of power that is gotten as a result of someone's wealth. It's power that is gotten as a result of someone's wealth. Like we know now, Aliko Dangote, Aliko Dangote is not really a special, like, maybe he does not necessarily have a position in the country, but because of his economic resources and the kind of wealth he has, there is this kind of power that is accorded to him. This is kind of now you see among some families, Igbo, especially in the Igbo family, where you see maybe one child, even the last born, he probably just had to, he made money more. Even if it's seen in many families where someone that happens to make money or someone that has blown, as we say it, someone that has blown, they will give this person more respect. They will give this person, they will listen more to this person. They give this person a kind of influence over people's decision. So this kind of power is kind of power that comes from that is called economic power, or power that comes through someone's possession of economic resources. As I said, example of this kind of people, the people that have this kind of power is um Aliko Dangote, the highly esteemed Aliko Dangote, and it is used for funding campaigns. It is used for influencing policies. This kind of power is used for funding campaigns and for influencing policies. So there is another one that is called this thing, power as a result of position. As a result of position. So this is kind of one that you see where a firstborn will say, because I'm the firstborn, I will take 2 meats. I'm just trying to bring an example down. But in terms of government, because of someone's position, probably we have different ranks of even in the army, we see different ranks of staffs, different ranked armies due to their position. Even if the person, let's assume there's a major and there are some other soldiers that are down below him, because even if he's younger than that person, because of his authority, that the position that he occupies, because of the position he occupies, he has influence to even command people that are older than him. So this kind, whether they like it or not, they will have to just obey him because of his position of authority. So this is the kind of power that is gotten from a person's position or place of authority. So then there's also power that comes as a result of inheritance. As we know, all those kind of governments, all those kind of countries where, like the olden days, where they would say the son of this man's, the son of this man, maybe a prince, a prince will just happen to become the next king as a result of inheritance. He will be given that power as a result of inheritance. He inherited it from his parents. His parents were kings and queens, and as a result of him being their heir, he happened to inherit that same power. People would, from the first day that he was being born, they will begin to give him the respect and give him influence over them. Some countries itself, if anything happens to maybe the king, the what they call it, the prince, if he says, I want the head of this person, sorry about that. He said, I want or I want something that's not in the normal. They will give it to the prince because he's the prince. That kind of authority, whether he knows what he's saying or not. So these are the different types or sources of power. So it could be from the constitution, through coercion, by charisma, or through economic resources that a person possesses, or your position or inheritance. So let's move to the next slide. So this was where I was supposed to get to before I tried explaining authority. So authority now, it refers to the formal or legal right to make and enforce laws or policy which a citizen must obey. So as I explained earlier, authority, it does not necessarily, it's not that it's not necessary, it's actually given to a person by his subjects. That is kind of thing that you see under voting when people would elect someone and make the person their ruler. So they've given the person an authority over them legally to control their decisions. This is what this kind of influence is called authority, where it is given to a person legally. As I was saying, power does not necessarily need to be legal. It could be taken by force, it could be taken through any means, but it's just an influence also over a group of people. But authority, for you to say something is that someone has authority, it actually means that the person has a legal right to make these decisions. He has a legal right to tell people, sit here, because they've chosen to make the person be in that position. So as we have here, say authority connotes the acceptance of the right to rule as conferred by the people. As conferred by the people. So this is the distinguishing factor between authority and power. One of the distinguishing factor between authority and power. Authority is given by the people, irrespective of the sanction. It is when they give, like this, as when we are here now, and everybody here, they said, okay, oh, we are looking for who will be cost rep. For some reason, people will be like, who? Then they'll be like, let us vote or let us choose. We nominate people. We will nominate some persons, maybe 3 or 4 persons, saying, okay, these are the people that we'll choose. And everybody will then cast votes. Then once they've casted votes, they will then appoint one person as the cost rep, and that cost rep has the right to collect cost rep dues, has the right to make some other decisions for the class, has the right to stand in place of the class. So this kind of influence that someone has is that is legally right is known as authority. So we have kinds of authority, and there are institutional authority and functional authority. Institutional authority and functional authority. So does anyone have any question as at now?
Sir, but you are not showing us, you only show what you are seeing as definition of power. What about the one you just explained? Because you
Are
are
you
not showing us
serious?
on the slide.
I'm very sorry. I've been moving my slides, and I didn't know that you guys were not seeing my slide.
We are not,
I didn't know. So this is the slide I've been showing. I've been trying to explain from. So this is the first, this was where you guys were seeing now.
yes.
Okay, so this is the next slide where we're talking about the forms of power. So you could take screenshots. So these are the forms of power. I was talking about political power, economic power, military power, and physical power. So then I went here talking about the different acquisitions and exercise of power or sources of power. And I said we have power that is gotten from the Constitution. We have power that is gotten by coercion. We have power that is gotten through charisma, power that is gotten through economic resources, and also power that is gotten through position of authority, power that is gotten through through inheritance. So now this
Sir,
is the next slide. I now went to yeah.
okay.
Do you have anything to ask me?
Because when you are trying to explain, you are showing us forms of power, but now what I'm seeing now is definition of authority.
Okay, probably it was a lag. This was where I was. Are you seeing acquisition of exercise? An exercise? Are you seeing the new
Yes,
screen?
yes, yes, yes. Yes,
Okay.
acquisition of a set of power.
Yeah. Okay.
That is
Thank you.
forms of political
So
authority.
this was what I was talking about: the constitution, through coercion, the charisma, through economic resources, through position of authority, and through inheritance. So these are the sources of power, or you can also call them the different ways that people exercise power or acquire power. So then I went to authority, definition of authority, and I was saying that authority refers to the formal right to make and enforce laws by laws or policies that a citizen must obey. So then I was at this kind of authority. I was at kind of authority. So and I was asking, does anyone have what they call it, any question to ask me before we move on to kinds of authority? Anyone?
Not at all, sir. No, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, thank you. So we have institutional authority and functional authority. So we have institutional authority and functional authority. But these kinds of authority, they are more like the sources of authority, they are somehow like sources of authority. So I would first try to explain sources of authority before we group them into institutional and functional authority. So traditional authority that we can see on the sources of authority, it is based on customs. These are the influence that a person gets over a group of people
Sir,
based on custom. Yeah.
you are still showing source of power.
Yes, I'm still on source of power. Okay, source of power. Sorry, can you see definition of authority now?
Yes, I see.
Okay, sorry about that. So sources of authority. I'm at this point of sources of authority. Please, in case you are not seeing, or in case I don't know how, but I'll tell you when I'm moving to the next slide, and people would help me confirm that you've seen me moving to the next slide, so I can move on. So sources of authority, we have traditional authority. So this is the kind of authority that is based on customs, traditions, and long established practice or long established practices. So it's the kind of thing that happens where they would all this Ezemo or all these Babalawo or all these chiefs, due to the custom of the land, there are some persons that people rate highly based on the tradition, based on the custom that has been prevalent in that environment or in that society. The traditional authority is the kind of authority that is gotten by um, custom, and it is usually it could be gotten from as a result of inheritance, passed from generation to generation to generation. It's usually a traditional custom related stuff. So examples of this kind of authorities like the Oba of Benin, Sultan of Sokoto, Emir of Kano, and so on. So people just obey them because of their culture. People obey them because of this. And that's actually what traditional authority mean per se. So legal authority is also known as rational authority. So this kind of authority is the authority that is based on laws, rules and regulation, and written constitution. So this kind of authority, it's is the power that comes from legal documents, if I would say it that way. It's power that comes from the constitution. It's usually an institutional kind of power. So I was saying that these sources of power are linked to these kinds of these sources of authority. I don't know why I'm changing authority and power. Just pardon me. You should understand what I'm trying to pass across. I'm very sorry for saying power. So legal authority is linked to the institutional authority. And it is the kind of authority that we see between presidents, governors, judges, police officers. It's the one that is given to people as a result of constitution or legal documents that is acceptable to people in that society. So that's that's the example of legal authority. So it is usually based on position, official position, and not just a person's personality. It's usually based on official position because of the position that a person is occupying. So now we also have charismatic authority. Charismatic authority, as I said about charismatic or power that is gotten through power that was gotten through charisma. The same way we have charismatic authority. This is the kind of authority that someone gets as a result of their qualities, their leadership qualities, the way they talk, the way they compose sentences. It just gives people this sense of respect towards that person. They will just like, wow, this person, this guy, there's something about this guy. This guy is a good leader. He does not actually have a position, but just because of the way he carries himself, people would give them authority. They will not mind saying, I choose this person to lead us for this particular task. So this is the kind of authority that is gotten through charisma. It's known as charismatic authority. And it comes from the followers that believe that person's leadership vision. It comes from followers that believe that person's leadership vision. And it's also from it's basically from followers, Sha. Basically from followers. Those followers that believe the leader's vision, his inspiration, and his strong courage. So example of someone that's got this kind of authority is, as I said initially, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Thomas Sankara. Yeah, these persons, they are examples of people that had this kind of charismatic authority, and people followed them because of the trust and emotional connection that they had with them. Like Nelson Mandela, we know the story about Nelson Mandela now. So his kind of authority is charismatic authority. So the specific thing about this kind of authority is that it's based on people's attraction towards a person. So due to that attraction, then they will give the person legal rights to make decisions and to make sanctions over them, which they must obey. So that's for charismatic authority. then this charismatic authority is kind of the same. It's kind of closely related to consent of people. Or would I say it's the same thing? It's just the same thing. It's the kind of authority that is given to someone due to people's consent. People agree that this person has this, he has the ability to do this stuff. So they give the person the legal right to rule or to lord over them. So now we have types of authority, and these types of authority are also similar to the types of power. But we already know the difference between power and authority. So these types of authority, we have traditional authority, charismatic authority, legal or rational authority, delegated authority, political authority, positional authority, coercive authority, de facto, and de jure. I don't know who knows what de facto means. Sorry, de facto. Sorry, de facto means. Who here knows de factors? What de facto authority mean, or de facto as an authority type? Who knows what it means? Someone. Just try. You can give it a try. You might even be correct, or you probably even know the answer, but probably you are being shy or something like that. We are one family here. Please, just someone should just try helping us.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm listening.
Is someone who leaves a country, or especially someone to join the opposite party or political party. Like, for example, you left the PDP to join the APC.
Okay, so you are explaining which one. Is it de facto you are explaining, or the jury? Which one?
Yes, no, the defector.
Facto.
You know the
Okay.
defector you are talking about.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So it's I would like you, if you're writing, this spelling is not really de facto. This is a typo error. It's actually de facto. DEFACTO. It's actually de facto.
DEF.
FA. Just try.
Yeah, you said the spelling is D.
You said what? Sorry. Hello? Hello, Kennedy, you were saying something.
Okay, the spelling is DEFACTO, Abi.
Yeah, DEFACTO. So it also means in fact or in practice. As you could say
Okay.
also, or AKA in fact or in practice. So as you explained, it's something that has to do with it's a kind of power. And from what I have, how I'm trying to explain that it refers to a person or group that holds power and exercise authority, even though they may not legally be recognized. So they may not legally be recognized. So I'm repeating probably, so those people that are writing, they could explain, they could write something down. So de facto, also known as in fact or in practice, it refers to a person or group that holds power and exercise authority. It's a group or person that holds power and exercises authority, even though they may not legally be recognized. Even though they are not legally recognized. So this kind of authority, the persons, they have authority in reality, but they don't have authority by law. So this is kind of like a cutout that kind of explains power per se, what I was trying to define initially. They have power in reality, but by law, by written documents, they don't really have power. So this kind of authority, where someone has power in reality, but did not have the power by law, is called de facto authority. So in case you see it in your question or your exam paper, You just know that when they say the kind of power that someone does not have by law, but you have in reality, that kind of power is kind of power that they call de facto authority. So example is
Hello, sir.
military leaders. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that means the person took the power by force.
Yeah, sometimes it's not really by force because we're talking about authority, but it is similar to power. You know, I was defining power. I said power, it is not the person can take it by force or not by force. But when you talk about de facto authority, when you mention authority, when you join authority to it, it's the kind of influence that someone has. Really, you have that influence, but you did not really get
Okay.
it by law. The people around,
Okay.
they gave you the authority over them. They gave you that authority over them, but not legally. There was no written document that brought you into the position or something like that. So though sometimes it
Like,
is the kind that is taken by force. It is also a kind of power that is taken by force, though. In some
are
scenarios,
you,
it can be taken by force.
are you saying like
Yeah.
a coup? A coup
Yes, yes,
is like
exactly.
a, okay.
Exactly. You don't get that power by
Okay.
you don't get power by the law. You took it by force. You actually had authority normally. Oh. People actually respected you, but people actually respect you, but as a result of some reasons, you happen to now impose yourself on the people, sort of, and then you have the authority, but it's not legal. It's not legal. So, example, as I was trying to say, is a leader or a military leader that sees power through coup. It's told this kind of power through coup and controls a country. Like the history, what we have in Nigerian history, General Sani Abacha in Nigeria, he is known as a de facto leader. He took the power by force, not really by the law. He took the power by force. He had the power normally in reality, but now he then took over the authority, like took it by himself again. That's kind of thing. I said took power, took laws into your hand. You did not really wait for the law to enact you as a particular ruling leader, but you just took it out. So it's the kind of thing that happens in maybe in some workplace where you see someone is just acting like a boss, even though they are not, they have not been appointed as boss. There's like those kind of people that we call oversabi people. They are among everybody, but all of a sudden they start behaving like as if they are the yoga. That someone that does not really know will just come and say, maybe this person, maybe this person is the class captain, or maybe this person is the cost rep, but they are not actually the cost rep. Nobody gave them that position. They just act like it, and because of their acting like it, people will now start thinking they have that authority. So this is the kind of authority that is called de facto authority. It is not gotten legally. It is not legally recognized. So if you would want to be marking out things that you would take, that you would, if you want to be marking out things under this de facto authority, the first thing you should know is it is a kind of power or influence that someone has that is not by the law, is not recognized. You get an example. We have Sani Abacha, so that is an example of a de facto leader. So, among these are types of authority. I mentioned many that are common: traditional, charismatic, legal, delegated, political authority. But I'll just be explaining the ones that I know that they stand out somehow because I've not already explained them. That's example, this de facto authority. The next one is I'm going to explain now is the jury authority. So this jury authority by meaning, it means by law. So it's just like the opposite of de facto. It is the kind of authority that is legally granted or recognized by the constitution or official law. So that's this the jury authority or the juror authority. I don't know how some persons will pronounce it, but I prefer calling it the jury. So, but just know the spelling is DE space JURE. So it's mean by law. So this is the kind of authority that is gotten legally and is recognized by the constitution. So if you're writing down, you could write is an authority that is legally granted or recognized by the constitution or official law of a particular society. So that's this the jury authority. So someone was saying, could she write? I don't know. Kennedy, if you was, I don't know, probably because of her environment, maybe her environment is not conducive for her to open her mic. So if Kennedy, if you could see the chat, I don't know whether you could read out if she has written something, maybe it could help us read it out. Is there anything there? Or let me check on my end.
Because There's nothing, no.
Okay, I'm seeing Choma, you're raising your hand up. Yeah, Choma, your hands are raised. I mean, your hand is raised. I don't know. Is it deliberate or it's a mistake?
She's typing.
Okay, okay. So Chioma, you can type. You can type. Maybe I would come back to see what you're typing. So now let's go on. The next one I'll be trying to explain is delegated authority. So among all these ones, I've explained similar ones like traditional. I've explained what traditional means. I explained charismatic, legal, which is also known as rational. I also explained political. I explained positional. I explained coercive. But the one I know I did not talk about was delegated authority. So this is the kind of power that is formally given by a higher authority to a lower authority to act in one's behalf. So it's just in simple terms, it's just like as if um, the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, president, he probably is supposed to attend. Okay, Chamba said, um, not a mistake though, because network was bad from my side. I didn't really get the authority definition. Okay, sorry. So can you see my screen? I was saying that the authority, what we have on my screen is actually a definition of authority. It refers to a formal or legal right to make and enforce law or policies which the citizens must obey. So it's a formal or legal right. It's a formal or legal right to make and enforce laws or policies which the citizens must obey. So it is legal and it is written down. It's a written right. So that's what they mean by formal. So that's the definition of authority. So comparing authority to power, authority is legal. It's just like the jury, if I would say it that way. It's just like as if you're trying to expand the jury. Now it's just something that is given legally. So I don't know if I have helped you get what I was just have tried helping you to define authority. So wow, 10:05. Wow. Let's see how fast we can go, see how much we can cover. So we have delegated authority, and I was saying if you're writing down, it is the kind of power that is formally given by a higher authority to a lower one on its behalf. So the two things that you should take note of is, or let's say they are the key points to take note of in this kind of when you're talking about delegated authorities. First, you need to know that it is given formally by a higher authority, someone higher than another person. That means the two persons that are involved is someone in authority, another person in authority, but one is higher than the other one. So the one higher than the other one gives the lower one influence, saying, take my position while I'm away or while I'm busy and stand in for me. Just like as if class captain and assistant class captain. The class captain is the real person. The assistant class captain is his assistant. Then now, for the sake of maybe the class captain went to go and see the principal or maybe went to meet the head of school, the assistant would then give authority to the assistant to stand in his place. You get, though not really assistant per se, because assistant they are actually usually taken as equal with the class captain most of the times, but is I don't know whether you guys get my point, yeah. There has to be one person that is superior, giving one of his subordinates that also is in authority his position, saying, wear my clothes and stand as me. You get, act on my behalf. Anything you make, any law you put in place, will stand. To take it will happen like as if it's me. So the key point is that it's not original power, but borrowed power. So this kind of power is not really forever and ever. Like they say, let's assume there's a meeting that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was supposed to what they call it. He was supposed to attend. He would then delegate someone maybe among his close caucus. He will say somebody, okay, go on my behalf and represent me. Anything you say, any respect they will give me, they should give it to you for just this occasion. So that's the thing about delegated authority. It's actually not necessarily an original power, but it's kind of an assigned power or borrowed power. So as I said, examples is when president delegates his ministers to probably represent them, or when a local government gets delegated for functions from the state government. I don't know whether this is clear. I don't know. Is it clear? Hello? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Thank you. So um I believe that is clear. I've explained de facto and I've explained the jury authority. So let's move on to our next slide. You can see my slide, right? I'm having differences between power and authority. So now I'll be running through this because of time. So power is the capacity, as you can see here, is the capacity to affect another person's behavior by use of threats or some form of sanction, while authority is a formal or legal right to make and enforce laws and policy. So you see this difference now. It's trying to even spell out what I've been saying so far. Power, it usually is taken by, let's say, force. It's usually taken by a threat. It's usually exhibited rather by threat or by punishment. Say, if you don't do this, this is going to be what will happen. If you don't do this, we'll cut off your neck. If you don't do it, and it's kind of a strict or a harsh way of exerting leadership. So that's kind of power. Then authority is one that it's approved, is approved by a particular law or probably legal right. So authority now we see number two, we have authority based on acceptance and mostly legitimate. While power could be legitimate or illegitimate. I hope you are seeing the difference between authority and power. Authority is actually legitimate, is usually legitimate. Most of it is legitimate. While power is actually, it could be legitimate or illegitimate. Are you saying power is like as if it is an embodiment of both authority, of all the types of authority? That's what power is, both the legal one and the non-legal one. So power is like the covering, like the name that defines all of them, something like that. While authority is a kind of power that is gotten just legally, usually just legally. So that's what authority is. So number three, you say it has been observed that authority can be delegated with legitimized responsibility, but power cannot be delegated. So it's important that you would note this particular point. It's very important that you know this particular point, because I don't know how the questions could come out, but the point is trying to state that authority can be delegated. You can say, stand on my behalf and take this position for me, like what presidents do to their ministers. Say, let this minister attend this function for me in my place. But power is not really like that, because in the first place, the people don't even like you. In the first place, people don't like you. You have to use authority. You have to use force. So if you want to give it to another person that is not you, people, they don't fear that person as much as they fear you most of the time. So you cannot really delegate power per se. It cannot be delegated. You get? So power can not be delegated. It cannot be delegated. So stated clearly, it cannot be delegated. While authority can be delegated. So that's our difference number three. So number four, since authority is legitimized, punishments that go with it is not as serious as that of power. So this is true. Because the person that is trying to enforce power, he has to do everything to scare his subjects. Simple something that maybe in the law, normally according to Nigerian constitution, maybe they will say someone that probably was caught, that killed someone, they will say maybe the person will be sentenced life imprisonment or something like that. Under power, probably even just stealing, it might warrant death. Just stealing. So the sentence is for power is when it seems like as if you are trying to go against the person in authority or power, in the case of power, when the force was not legal, the sanctions or the punishments are usually very severe. They are usually very severe. So these are the differences between power and authority. So first difference is that power is what do I even have here? So it has to affect that people's behavior and It's not necessarily leader, while authority is leader. Power delegated. Um, Power, the punishment of power is not that serious compared to that of authority. It's sorry, the one of power is serious compared to that of authority. So now let's go to the next portion of this our teaching, legitimacy. But before I go forward, I don't know if someone has any question so far. Any question? Any question? Any question? Any question? Okay, let's go on to. I would assume that we've been following and there is no issue. So we have here that legitimacy is a political concept which refers to the acceptance and recognition by the citizens of a country the rights of their rulers to govern. So legitimacy refers to legal or moral acceptance of a government or a leader or political system by the people. So I don't know whether you are picking the definition of legitimacy. It is acceptance. That acceptance where under power, we said people they might not really like it. That person just enforces his capacity on top of on the people. Then there is what we call authority, where the person gets the particular capacity by the law. By the law. So now it is now on the followers' end now. It is that their acceptance to that rulership, the acceptance to the government that a particular maybe a like now. Let me just make this analogy now. Probably a governor by the constitution, he won the election and he's now the governor of a state. Legally, he has authority. True, he has authority because he won it legally. But now legitimacy is now whether these people in the state they like governor. So that's what legitimacy is. It is that acceptance, moral acceptance by the followers to a leader. I don't know whether I'm communicating. It's the moral acceptance where the people do like, oh, like Nigeria now, some persons, I don't know. I cannot say the general. I'm not supposed to say the. I'm not in a position here. I'll say it that way. I'm not in a position to state the level of legitimacy in Nigeria to our president. But someone like me, I love our president. So in case of legitimacy, it's a case where some people they don't accept or some people accept. So when there is legitimacy, it is when they accept a particular leader over them, whether he took the power by force or he did not take the power by force. Like there's this I don't know, I guess it's Burkina Faso new leader, the current Burkina Faso leader that is a military leader. Yes, he took the power probably by force, but still yet with the news that have been seen so far, it's seeming like the people they accept him. They've given him legitimacy, though he came in by force. But there is this legitimacy, there is this moral acceptance that people have given to him to be their leader. They accepted him as their leader. That's what they call, or that's what we define as legitimacy, the acceptance of a particular leader by the people. I believe this should be clear. So if you want to write it down, it's a legal or moral acceptance by the people to a government or to a leader, the acceptance that people have towards a leader. I believe that example should be, that explanation should be simple, or I just believe so. So in simple terms, it's a government is legitimate when its citizen believes in its right and rule, or in its rights to rule. So a government can be said to be a legitimate government when its citizen accepts the leader's right to rule over them. You get that they willingly choose to obey the law. So legitimacy is important. I didn't really talk about it here, but I just want to point this out. Legitimacy is important because it helps governments maintain peace and order. Because when your followers accept, it would help you to be able to even control them or to be able to lead them well, to maintain peace and order, because generally they accept you. So you can tell them this is what we should do, this is not what we should do. So because they accept you, they will believe you and they can allow peace. Even if there's a chaos or there's a conflict that is about to spur up, they will be like, when you speak, they would obey. So that's
the one of the importance of legitimacy. It makes it easy to maintain peace and order. So another importance of legitimacy is that sorry, pardon me. Another importance of legitimacy is that it reduces the need for force. All those kind of cases where the leader will say, if you people don't do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, that will happen. Is because of there is lack of legitimate. The leader was not a legitimate leader to the people. They don't really accept the person. So when there is legitimacy in a particular government, there will be less need. Let's say it that way. There will be less need for force to try to rule the people for them to obey the law. And also another importance is that it strengthens democracy and national unity. It strengthens democracy and national unity. So now let's go on to the factors that determine legitimacy. So we have here, number one, we have good/reliable. What's supposed to be here is it's supposed to be it really leads to good governance and performance. So I would like you to write on your notes good governance and performance. Good governance and performance. These are one of the factors that determine legitimacy. So these are if I would say it in another way, it's the things that would make a leader be seen as a legitimate leader when he has good governance, when he performs well. Probably when it was like what happened with when they were electing, people said that Peter Obi was a good governor when he was in the governor's state. So that many people feel like, okay, it would be right for him to be our ruler. He has made right to be our ruler. We believe he should be able to be. So that's the thing that can determine legitimacy. What will determine that even people that don't really know you, they would accept you because of your previous performance. If you had a good governance previously, or you had a good performance previously, people would choose you. Definitely want that. That's the number one, and number two, good government and good or performance. That one I see just good and reliable. I meant to write governance and performance. So good or good governance. So another one is legitimacy through periodic election. So when there is election that happens over and over and over again, especially free and fair election, there is this kind of legitimacy. People would believe that a particular governor should be their ruler. They will just believe it like that. That okay, normally, since this person's tenure is over, the next person should come in. They would accept that that person should come in because the other person's tenure has passed. So this is one of the factors that determine what they call it, legitimacy. They will just if someone stays beyond the period of his tenure, people would begin to detest that person. Let's assume the person was supposed to rule for 4 years and his tenure, his period has passed. You now want to stay longer than that without another election. People will start saying, just this person wants to stay more than he no one come out. At that point, it is affecting or it is already determining that people will start saying, this person is no longer a legitimate leader or his time has passed. He does not want to go again. That kind of stuff. So these are one of the factors that determine legitimacy. Also, we have customs and tradition. Customs and tradition. This is, as we know now, culturally, they believe that the next king is always the son of the king. So whether the king's son has become the king yet, people have already started accepting him as our next king. People will be trying to get on his good side. So this one is a factor that determines whether people would accept if the person is truly a real heir of that kingdom or that throne, a real heir to the throne. Generally, people in the culture, people under that culture will just accept whether they like him or they might not even know why they are accepting, but they just accept that this is our next king because of the custom and tradition. So if it's not according to their custom, or if the person is not already the heir according to the custom, people will not accept the person. They'll be like, this person is not our real king because of their custom and tradition. So custom and tradition play a huge role in legitimacy. That's in a huge role in people accepting who is their ruler. So popular support. So this one is kind of thing that happens mostly among all these youths our youth vibe, where because of this person support this person, another person support this person, many people you know support this person. You don't even know why they are supporting that person because of plenty people support that person. Everybody's talking about maybe President A, people talk about President A. You don't even know what President A can do. You don't even know his previous record. But because you hear that many people are supporting President A, you then, because of that, say, I support President A, I support President A. So this kind of thing, someone that does not really know what's happening, that just comes to the environment, will be like, I think maybe this person is a good person. It would influence, or it would rub off on other people's opinion, and it can affect whether they would accept someone or not. Even it can be in the reverse case, where the person is actually not a bad person, but because of people don't accept him, someone that comes in will now be painted like he would be given a kind of prejudice, and he would now start seeing that person that is not necessarily bad. He'll start seeing the person as a bad person. So this is how these are the factors that can affect legitimacy. So we just have to okay. I thought legitimacy through periodic election is acquired when a person is elected into office by the people, as the name implies. You are correct. That's what I was trying to explain. I just said that, the term legitimacy is like acceptance. So once a person's tenure has expired, the legitimacy, because we're talking about factors that affect or that determine legitimacy, things that would make people accept a particular leader. When the person stays, or when the person came in at election period, people will just have to accept him. But the person is even saying, why I said it the way I said it was because I was trying to use the two sides of the coin. When a person stays longer than his time, even if the person was a good governor, because of people's because of this period of election has reached, people will be like, you don't mean in time don't reach now, may come out, in time don't reach, may come out, because of this is an election period. So now it would affect the acceptance, because legitimacy is not actually a thing per se, it's the acceptance. So people will stop accepting that person that was there before. So that period of election can affect people's legitimacy towards the person. Sometimes, or let me give it like this. If maybe I said Kennedy is supposed to coordinate this class now, and Chioma is supposed to coordinate the class tomorrow. Kennedy now controls this class today. Tomorrow, we're supposed to be expecting that Chioma will coordinate the class. But now, if Kennedy wants to stay longer than that, people will not accept him. He will no longer be seen as a legitimate leader. So it's already affecting it because of the change period has happened. That is like an election period has occurred. So these periods, they can affect a person's choice or a person's legitimacy. The person will no longer be seen as a legitimate ruler. I don't know whether I'm communicating that way. Chioma, I don't know whether I cleared you. You are actually correct on what you're saying. That is the kind of legitimacy is taught. You said you thought legitimacy through periodic election is a type of acquired when a person is elected. Yes, people will accept someone, a new person, once he's elected because of its election period. So they would accept, there's a natural acceptance that they will have. So in the reverse too, people will reject a person. The person's legitimacy will drop because of his period has expired. So that legitimacy, these things are things that can either cause legitimacy increase or decrease in a person. So that's what we are talking about, things that could cause someone's legitimacy to be either increased or decreased. So using that, sorry, we might not be able to go into states today because of this. So using that, we're talking about factors. Thank you. So we're talking about factors and what they call it. We're talking about the factors. So a person's ability to be reliable can determine whether the person will be seen as legitimate. A person's ability to govern well will determine people's acceptance. A person's ability to be reliable will determine people's acceptance. A person's election period or election periods could also make people accept the person. Customs and tradition can also make people accept someone. Popular supports can also make people accept someone. And in the reverse too, is the same thing. When someone is not reliable, people can reject someone. The person will become less legitimate, or the person will become the illegitimate leader because of he's not reliable. They'll be like, no. It would make people no longer freely accept the person. So if the person has a bad governance, people will not freely accept the person. So the same thing with election. The person is staying longer than his tenure. people would already start grumbling that this is not what's supposed to happen. The same thing with customs and tradition and popular support. I believe I have at least I've scratched off this topics well. If anyone has any question, we have just 2 minutes to go because there's another function I would need to attend by 10:30. Sorry that the class did not really start early. Probably in our next class to be preferable if we could come in early because some persons did not really come in at the stipulated time, and we also had some kind of glitches on our own sides too. So if you have any question, I would like you to drop your question at least within these 2 minutes. Any question? Any question? Okay. So as a result of the absence of question, I think we'll be ending this class here. So good night, everyone, and thank you all for attending. Thank you all for attending, because if you guys were not here, I don't think this. So thank you, and good night. Have a good night rest. Good night.